In the morning when I rise, give me Jesus.
Hello again. So 2 men were crucified along with Jesus, 2 criminals, one on either side of him. And one of them was mocking Jesus and ridiculing him, just like many in the crowd were doing. The other criminal that was crucified with Jesus was not at all mocking him. He said, "You are who you say you are. I can recognize, oh my goodness, you are innocent." And he said to Jesus, "Would you please remember me when you come into your kingdom?" And Jesus said, "Indeed, you will be with me today in paradise." Well, I hope you can see that man didn't do any of the religious things that we hear all the time we must do if we want salvation, if we want to be close to God. He didn't do any of that, and yet Jesus said, "You're mine." Well, today I just want to read 2 more verses, and they are so profound. I need to read a couple other verses to kind of set the stage. Back in Genesis, you remember Adam and Eve sinned. They trusted Satan instead of trusting God. And so they were put out of the garden. In chapter 3, it's verse 24. He stationed the cherubim and flaming swords, which turned every direction to guard the way to the tree of life. See, he sent cherubim to guard them from the tree of life, because if they'd eaten from the tree of life in their sinful state, then they would have been stuck in their sinful state for all eternity. And God didn't want that, because we were created to be in fellowship with him. Okay, when God told Moses how to create the tabernacle, we see in Exodus chapter 26, and verse 31 says this: "You shall make a veil of blue and purple and scarlet material and fine twisted linen, and it shall be made with cherubim." The work of the skilled workman. See, when God made the tabernacle, he made it in 3 parts. There was the outer court where people would come and bring their sacrifices. Then the inner court where only the priests would come, and they would sprinkle the blood from the sacrifices on the altar to pay for the people's sin. In the 3rd area, he put this veil to guard the people from the Holy of Holies, because anyone who would go in there who was not perfectly righteous would absolutely die. When the tabernacle was replaced with the temple, again, there was the most holy place and a big veil. We see that one in 2 Chronicles, it's chapter 3. And in verse 14, they made the veil of violet, purple, and crimson, and fine linen, and he worked cherubim on it. Okay, so what I want you to see is, where God is, the people are protected from him by this veil, by cherubim. First in the garden, then in the tabernacle, and again in the temple. The most holy place where God dwells, protected by cherubim. Well, we see in Luke 24, verses 44 through 45, Jesus was on the cross. And it says this: "It was now about the 6th hour, and the darkness fell over the whole land until the 9th hour, because the sun was obscured, and the veil of the temple was torn in two." Completely torn apart. Now, are you listening? The cherubim were separated, and we have access now back into the garden, access to the tree of life, which is Jesus himself, access to God, the most holy place where he dwells. Now where he dwells is in the heart of every believing believer. See, the veil was torn apart so that we could be with God in an intimate way. So God bless you who has said yes to Jesus and been recreated in righteousness and true holiness. So now, not only do we dwell with God in his most holy place, we are the most holy place, and he dwells in us. That's the gospel. Oh, it's profound. That's what Jesus' crucifixion opened up. on our behalf. I look forward to being with you again tomorrow. Come be with us again. I'll see you then.
Give me Jesus.